All right, we're live. So for the first time, both co-hosts, myself, Dan, and my co-host, Will, are here to serve the ImmuniTEA.
Cheers.
All right. So, I'm going to open the floor to you because you didn't get to talk at all last week, and I know it must be killing you.
I know. I always have a lot to say. But I took the time during my trip and I whittled down some quick thoughts for episode 1 so that we're not taking too much time because we already know I'm going to have a lot to say about episode 2. As I'm going to open with every episode, I am a blunt person. I'm a New Yorker and a drag queen, so I have a lot of opinions. Just like assholes, they're not always valuable and they're not always worth your time. So it's your choice to put weight into them or not. I'm still going to say what I have to say. If you get offended, call your mom, touch some grass, smoke some grass, get a therapist, or start your own podcast. I don't really care, but they're paying me to do this. So sorry, it's me and not you.
You're getting paid?
And yeah, girl, you need to know how to hustle more.
I guess so.
I also didn't study Whitewater, so I'm going to try to I'm just going to give opinions based on this season and this season alone. Dan is our archives guy, so he can give the background and the history and all the other bullshit I don't care about. And as they say on Dragula, we're not here to judge your drag. We're here to judge as it applies to this challenge. And so I'm not judging you as a person. I'm not judging you as a player. I'm judging you how you played this season specifically. I don't care about the lore. I don't care about how you played Whitewater season 3, Cabin Fever, Twit Manor, whatever bullshit. I care about this season, Heroes versus Villains 2.0. So you better fucking bring it. Shall I get into some quick episode 1 while I'm on my...
Yeah, keep it quick so we can, because we got some guests waiting too.
Great. So Jimmy's intro was epic. He's the only one that was memorable. Team Will. Here we go. Emma, I was a little bit worried. I think we'll get more into episode 2, but Emma, very similar to Richie, seemed to be really down on herself and kind of count herself out before the season got started, which really was sad for me to see because I remember seeing her in Prod in other seasons and I was excited for her to play. So I'm hoping that she can kind of build the confidence now that we're getting the season moving. Corey proved how a villain can win. It doesn't matter if you're a shady bitch, you could still win in the end. And I really am not surprised already to see why he won just from episode 1 alone. And as someone who I'm very much becoming a fan of rather quickly. Wasn't really sure why Nolan seemed so pressed about Kayla as a way to get to Jimmy. I feel like there's a lot of other couples and friends, so I don't know why the Jimmy Kayla target was there specifically in episode 1. Just seemed kind of off to me. And we're going to talk more about this later, but player of the episode, of course, is my number 1 draft pick, Jimmy. I think that him flipping it off of Joe onto Connor, finding the idol, he really just had a solid episode overall from the intro to the end. And that is what you missed on Glee.
All right. Thank you, Will. We do have another very special guest joining us, Phineas and Ferb enthusiast, Maddie from Survivor New Blood and Second Chances. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Phineas and Ferb's going to be my legacy now.
It is. We played a Zoom game last night, Will, that her category of expertise was Phineas and Ferb, and she knew every single character.
Little did you know. Yeah.
Any of your last second thoughts on last week so you can catch up with Will? You also have no spoilers, correct?
I also have no spoilers. No, I'll just second everything Will said. I think it was fun to see kind of this villains versus heroes and all of the Whitewater folks that I don't have a lot of background on. So it's been kind of fun to see them interact and I don't know, make lots of connections between old school and new school. So yeah.
Perfect. And then before we get into the episode, we're going to bring on our last guest, the dearly departed K Cash Money, now bankrupt, on the commute, so that's why there's no video. How are you doing tonight, Kayla?
Hello. I'll be on a bus, so I'll try and mute myself, but I have my lovely Diet Cherry Coke with me. Excited to be joined by you divas. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We're happy to have you. Thanks for coming on. And I have so many questions for you already, but we'll get to that later, I'm sure. I guess you should have said that, if you haven't seen the episode, too late, you're spoiled. Kayla went home. But
we know, but you don't know what we know.
But we know nothing. But okay, so there really wasn't much pre-challenge this week. We kind of got right into it. I guess we got a little bit of a reaction from the villains finding out Connor went home. Other than Dakota, did any of their reactions actually seem like they were upset?
I mean, I gave Dakota a hug right away. Everyone else was kind of like, yeah, during the pregame hour, he was kind of a little bit in the corner and wasn't super engaged. We weren't super surprised, but, you know.
Okay. I'm sad that we had the audio issues, so we couldn't get a little bit more from the hero perspective last week. So did luckily seem to be a little bit better this week. But let's just get right into the immunity challenge then. So for the immunity challenge, we had riddles and followed by a puzzle while people had to balance holding wiffle balls. Anyone want to start us off with thoughts on this?
I think that the heroes were lucky that the villains could not figure out the thing with Jimmy continuously falling. My boy let me down, but that is okay. I think that, I guess this was after the comp comments, but Matt and Richie not being able to figure out that was eyeshadow, even after like them doubling down that that's not obviously eyeshadow. I'm not saying I would have gotten it right away. Shout out to Richie. Thank you for recognizing Queen Stays Queen. But I don't know if I would have gotten it. It wasn't eyeshadow. What was it? Wasn't that the whole point?
It was definitely eyeshadow.
That was the answer. Richie is saying that it wasn't a shadow in the picture.
Okay, it was a shadow. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I don't know if I would have gotten it right away. But yeah, sometimes it's luck of the draw. You just get a shitty comp. And so then, as I love to say, you got to rely on that good old social game.
Yeah, I was curious what everyone else thought. We had different riddles on each side. I get that it was so the other team couldn't copy off the other one, but I thought maybe it would have been a more even playing ground if they had the same riddles. Does anyone else feel differently?
Sure. I wish I saw the riddles. I did see eyeshadow at the end when everyone was complaining about it. I'm going to toot my own horn and say that Corey and I never went down once. We were like pinching that candle bra and then like really holding it, and then we were on one foot. So we were super proud of ourselves, and we also were shooting the shit that entire time. So that was really fun to get to know Corey in that way. But I wish we would have looked at the riddles. I thought we had it down. I had a false sense of how we were doing in that immunity challenge because him and I were doing so well, and the other team couldn't hold the stance like that. But at the end of the day, if you don't know what eyeshadow is, like pick up a makeup brush. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, they had so much scribbled on that side of the paper. Like it was completely covered in writing with all their different guesses. And I think they guessed the same thing multiple times too. It was completely lost.
Shout out to Maris continuously being like, nope, not it. Wrong. Nope.
In the words of Vin, bro, they were so bad.
But before I bring it over to Maddie, I mean, Kayla, like hindsight's always 2020. And as Ben said, I think like you are notoriously one of the best endurance comp folks in like modern Wisconsin. You are, everyone knows I like standing on one leg is my weird skill that I'm really good at. You're one of the few people I'd be scared to go against in that regard. So hindsight 2020, I think they picked you right for that aspect. So yeah, it sucks you couldn't see the puzzles, but I don't know if it would have worked if you had someone else in that spot.
Yeah, and you saw by the tug of war, like I know my strengths. Tug of war was not one of them. I went against Joe and that ended pretty miserably, but I was like, guys, put me in. This is my one that I'm really confident in. So thanks for recognizing that.
Good job.
And Will, Vin mentions that Corey is the king of balancing on one leg. Would you like to challenge Corey in the future? Because I think you're also pretty good at that.
I said this to Devin earlier. Bring me back. I want an updates account. I'll get mine before Richie does. I'm ready to go toe-to-toe. Let's make it happen.
All right. Well, challenge is out there. We'll see if Corey shows up in the comments to accept the challenge. But villains didn't even get a chance at the puzzle, so heroes crushed it. I guess any more thoughts on the actual challenge before we get to the post-challenge aspect?
I think Kayla and Corey were just so solid. I was impressed, and that they were kind of chatting along the whole time too. I think it was a great kind of sneaky way to get a couple minutes in with somebody that maybe you didn't have a lot of time with before. But overall, yeah, I agree with everything else.
Also, with the hindsight, I think both of us were being really nice there. I think him and I should have started conspiring. Frame one, we lift our leg up, So hindsight 2020, that's the first thing that I would have changed.
I was just gonna say, Kayla, like, this is my Big Brother brain. We all know, like, I'm more of a Big Brother player than I'm a Survivor one, and it's very classic Big Brother gameplay. Like in those moments where you're alone with someone to have side strategy. I haven't watched enough Survivor, so if that happens more often, don't fucking come for me. But was there ever a part of you that was like, maybe I should make a deal with him right now so that in case we drop, that I have a safeguard?
Yeah, I knew I was solid and I kind of knew he was solid too. So not really an exchange kind of thing. Like if I drop, am I safe? I've done that in the past and typically those don't stick. But him and I kind of knew we were unspoken safe. I shouldn't really say that because that ended up not being true. However, I kind of do wish I was just like snaky and being like, who do you have if doubts about? And maybe we could have started painting targets right then and there. But that's kind of how I would have taken it, just to be a little bit more. This entire season was my villain arc, ironically, because I came in not wanting to do that. But we'll kind of see how it devolves throughout the episode. But I think little exchanges like that of, okay, if I drop, am I good? And then vice versa. I'll take that as food for thought because they do that in Big Brother a lot with the days endurance long challenges for sure.
Yeah. And Kayla was also a Big Brother person before Survivor as well. So you have that in common, Will.
So true.
See, if only we knew this in season 9, we could have been so much more aligned.
The Big Brother Alliance.
The Big Brother Alliance.
Sorry. The alliance with me and Maddie worked out okay, I think. So we're good.
Sorry,
Okay,
Julie.
So let's sorry, Julie.
Or we're not
Right.
for Julie Chan, Moonves.
So let's move on to the post-challenge Heroes Tribe. We actually had some working audio this time, so we were able to fill in some of the blanks we didn't get last week. What? I just made an observation, Will. Is that a problem?
Queen, look, I thought I was the villain and you were the hero, but you pop off. I love more villain energy on this pod.
I mean, I don't think I'm being a villain.
You're just bitter because they're not paying you, but continue.
Hey, I mean, I have to give them reason to pay me, right? No, to continue, we got some more fill in the blank of what we already kind of knew last week. We kind of start with Ben talking to Kyle, playing dumb as if he didn't know how it got flipped on Connor. And then we find out he was playing dumb because Jimmy was in the room with him. And as soon as Jimmy leaves, he immediately throws him under the bus to Kyle saying, hey, so that was Jimmy that did that. That's why Connor's gone. And I didn't get a chance to tell you. So classic Ben move, I think. Any thoughts on this conversation?
I thought it was interesting, and also kind of the conversation even when Vin walked into the room, and we kind of just see a little bit of like confusion trying to place where votes kind of were landing. It's clear that like Jimmy knows a lot about where votes are going, but maybe there's still some like wishy-washy, I guess, ideas from some of the other people. But
oh, and I should mention, Trinity prepared me with positive comments for each person, each player in the episode that I will have to sprinkle throughout. So for her positive comment on Jimmy, she liked that he was very confident. That's the end of thoughts.
Trinity is such a pick-me. She wants to be on this pod so bad. Anyway, yeah, I think, like Maddie said, I think it was interesting that because if I remember correctly, Jimmy like jumped in on that conversation, right? Or was it Kyle? And when Ben was like, "Oh yeah, I like wonder where the votes went," and Vin didn't own up to it.
Yeah, Vin comes in and immediately is like, "Oh yeah, I don't know, I didn't vote for Joe," and he starts using his reasoning as, "Well, it was only a 4-2-1." It's like, so that means there were still 2 votes on Joe, so the question doesn't change.
Yeah, and it's really confident of Vin. Maybe it's not even confidence, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it's based on some other things that he said, but we'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, it's very confident of him to not expect that modern Wisconsin would all vote together. I mean, I know we're not necessarily seeing that on the Villains Tribe, which we'll get into later, but at round 1 or first vote of the tribe, like I wouldn't, if I were Vin, I would think like, well, it has to be me, Connor, or Kyle. So, or Emma. So like, how am I gonna pin this on someone? It just kind of seemed like he like said it without thinking about how he's gonna back it up. So I'm curious to see how Vin is as a strategist as the season continues, because I think right now I don't know if I've seen that yet.
Well, it worked on Ben. He's completely bought into it.
His
his confessional, he goes, I have no idea who the other vote was for Joe. We've already seen Jimmy recite what all the votes were at least twice at this point. Some people know Vin for sure voted for Joe. Speaking of Vin, he's such a kind soul and would say encouraging words to his tribe mates.
Love it.
Dan, you are a great husband.
Thanks.
Just put that out there. And as a reminder that this is Dan's spouse, so he is somewhat beholden to actually follow.
Dan, I'm glad your wife loves you.
Oh, whoops! I didn't mean to highlight Shane there. I believe this is Emily on Vin's accounts thanking Trinity.
What is happening?
Okay, so not to get too off topic, we had other important conversations here. We got to see a lot more of what Kira did, which we didn't get last episode, starting with her and Joe right off the bat. She's kind of reassuring him, look, we're locked in as a final two. I know that you have every reason to be worried about Kyle since Kyle was pushing your name, but she explains more how Connor approached Kira in the last episode saying that he had heard Kira's name from no one. I think Connor was the only one saying Kira's name and then was pitching to Kira that he was hearing her name to say he had her back. So obviously Kira is suspect of that and was part of the reason to flip the vote onto him. And she's reassuring him, look, we've got your back. We can go for Kyle in the next round. I really like that we got this establishment of trust between these two. You want to add it to that at all?
I guess we see Kira like kind of even like name off everyone she has connections with at this point, and I thought that was pretty interesting and like some context we were kind of missing in the first episode. But like truly, it seems like she has like genuine connections, people that want to work with her from every angle. But definitely cool to see her like kind of lock in with Joe as a final two, and really just solidify kind of who's in her court, which is kind of everyone.
And Trinity does say that Kira saying that she's locked in with Joe makes her heart happy. And knowing Joe has allies and his growing relationship vibes makes her happy.
Oh my God.
And great teamwork for Joe.
Okay. This is not going to happen every week. I'm just going to lay that out there. But this is
it just has to happen this week. That's all that matters.
I'm glad I'm the last person to get a compliment. I hope she has good ones for me.
It'll get eliminated. Spoiler alert.
Oh.
So I would say this, having been Kira's final two, and I think knowing her game pretty well, I'm a little bit nervous for her, only in that she started the Meet the Cast or episode 1 or whenever it was, being like, I'm going to play a different game than I usually do. I want to go with the Whitewater folks. I want to like not focus my energy on people who I know, because I don't think it's going to bode well for me. It's going to be expected. So now to make a final two with someone who's part of New Era, who like, yes, she hasn't met in person prior to the season, but who I think, and maybe just because I know her better than say Whitewater folks, like who I think would make sense for her to align with, I'm a little bit worried that she's either unconsciously or otherwise like falling back into familiar gameplay. And so I just hope that despite the final two with Joe, she's intentional moving forward about like, I'm playing new Kira. This is part of the greater picture. And that it doesn't end up with her in that like solid 7 spot that we always seem to see her fall into.
Yeah, and Kira's here saying she's making paths everywhere. I mean, she did pull in Vin. We saw that at the end of last episode. She clearly pulled in Emma. Let's talk a little bit more about Emma, because we actually got to finally hear a little bit from her. So she was talking to Joe as well, and Kira. It sounded like she really wanted to work with Kira, but in her confessional, sounded like she didn't really have anything like solidly locked in to me. Was anyone else getting a different vibe than that?
Sounds right.
All right. Yeah. And so she's just still trying to reassess her game, because she was close with Connor coming in. So now she had to turn on him way earlier than she would have liked to, and just trying to pick up the pieces from there. So hopefully working with Joe and Kira is a way for her to do that.
Yeah, I'll just say quickly, Dan. I think that like Emma Emma does what I would do if I just lost the person that I was going in thinking I was going to work with. Like you're not up for tribal this round. Like this is a round to kind of sit back, take a back seat, see who's made connections in episode 1, because at that point you're worried about saving your own ass, especially because if I remember correctly, her name was out there episode 1.
Yeah.
So like you're not looking at who's befriending who and who's aligning with who. Like you're worried about saving your own ass. So like you did that, great. Your tribe's not up. So this is the time to take a step back, look, be social, see who's connecting, and then you have your path from there. So I want to just give credit to her for that, as I think like, Kira and Joe are great people to align with. And I think that her not like showing us more strategy quite yet is a solid move and is strategy in and of itself.
There was also a time where, like, I think, did Kira say that Emma had said something that she really liked the way that Kira plays the game, or they play it similarly? And I thought that was kind of an important, like, quote too, because, like, Kira is someone that has played, like, similarly, but definitely evolved her game. And I think Emma kind of recognizing that, like, that's someone who she wants to work similarly to, like, proves to be better long-term in the game than, like, trying to work with two different strategies.
Oh, Kira says that Will missed her plotting against Jimmy. I don't know that it was a solid commitment to plotting against him yet. It was more of a, am I going to use this information to help us, or am I going to use it against him? Stay tuned for more.
Correct. And I was only referring to your alliances. I wasn't referring necessarily to like game moves, but we'll see.
And about Emma, I love that Emma's talking to Joe, and that Emma is liking who she's working with. And I hope she goes for silent and sneaky. Heart.
Love we really needed the heart at the end.
That was my natural thoughts. So we've got those conversations. Were there other conversations we had? Because everyone started to kind of group together. I guess we can talk about individual confessionals if we didn't get them all.
Only one other thing stood out to me, but it's an individual player. So if you have other like conversations or other things, I just had one comment about heroes before we move on to villains whenever we get there.
Sure.
I just want to say, Kyle, this is me bowing, impeccable. Like everyone is threatened by Kyle, yet everyone simultaneously wants to work with him. Everyone is saying he's going to win the season, yet no one is throwing his name out there, except maybe a little bit in episode 1. And yes, I didn't know we weren't really up there for episode 2, but like impeccable. Like whoever sucks at social game, and I don't, even though I made a whole LRG about social game, I wouldn't say I'm, one of the better social game people. Like I'm taking notes. I think you're doing, of course, Ben makes it about him. I'm taking notes. I think that like Kyle is playing impeccably. So I just want to give credit, and I'm curious to see how that goes, because usually those are the people we see go around like mid to late jury, because people start getting sketched out about how solid they're positioned. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Like right now he's doing great, and I just want to give a shout out to him.
Yeah, and Kyle killed it holding the ball in the challenge. So I do want to talk about Ben's confessional, because he mentions how he was kind of stirring the pot between Vin and Richie. So we had a little bit of drama between the two of them already, saying that Richie was already talking shit about Vin prior to the season even starting, prior to them knowing he was for sure on the cast. What do we think about this move from Ben?
Maddie, I'd love to hear from you as someone who's played 2 of his 3 seasons and, been both far with him in the game. Like, would you say that this is normal Ben? Do you think he's switching it up? Like, how do you think that this sort of stuff like speaks about his gameplay?
I feel like that's a good question. I think he's been kind of labeled as a little bit of a pre-gamer, and that may not necessarily been a pre-gamey move, but definitely like planting seeds early. I would say it's like not been my experience, I guess, but this is a whole new cast with like whole new game. Second Chance was majority pretty new era people. So I think he's really trying to go in hard with some of the people that he maybe needs to work harder to gain their trust early on.
Yeah, I would say it's interesting. This I didn't really watch much of 7, but this definitely feels like Ben season 9, like kind of going in knowing how certain people are, who's friends with who's not, and trying to use that to his advantage. I think that Ben, I would coin him as more of a chaotic player, but like, calculated chaotic. And I think that this, from my perception, is pretty on par for his gameplay. But I think it's interesting, kind of similar to what I was saying about Kira, about like him wanting to work with Whitewater, but then also kind of pitting people against each other, but using it in a way that's like, hopefully for him, pulling Vin closer to him by getting him distance from Richie and already thinking ahead for merge. So I'll give Ben credit where credit's due. I think it's a good move.
Matt also said on this Vin and Richie beef that Vin came up to Matt saying that you have to vote out Richie. So that's why we see Matt later pushing, or he said, yeah, I'll try to form an alliance for the merge. Yeah, so I don't know. He's saying he didn't say Richie's name. I think he's pointing this out because Matt's just making it about him because I always make it about him going after Richie. Okay, regarding Ben, I think it's great that he was communicating nicely to Kyle, and I do love his confessionals. Ben watching Vin go off about Richie. LOL, his missed.
I do kind of want to also segue this really quick back, and I'm curious your guys' thoughts. Like, we're kind of saying like Ben's planting these seeds early with Vin, but what is everyone's thoughts on Vin not voting in the Connor vote? I'm surprised they would keep him out of the loop, but maybe that was just coincidence. What do you guys think?
I mean, to me, it just seemed like Vin was more focused on whatever that food thing was that we're potentially getting sponsored for than like actually strategizing. Again, to Vin's credit, before y'all attack me, there was some glitch issues with microphones and things, so we didn't get to see everything. So like part of my understanding of what did or didn't happen is from hearsay and word of mouth. And obviously my relationships outside of this are with modern Wisconsin people. So if Whitewater want to fill me in on what happened episode 1 on Heroes Tribe, please do. But from my perception, Vin to me, and could be a character that he's playing, which if he is, like, power to you because you have me fooled. And that is a gameplay, right? Is like playing up a character who doesn't really know what's going on and like wants to kind of do that until merge. But Vin to me just seems like a kind of chill guy who's just here to have a good time and like shoot the shit. Right. And so that's not someone who I'm going to include on a vote because you know, your one vote isn't going to make or break what my plan is. And then we can, I don't know, circle back at merge if that's what the vibe is. But if anything, it sounds like Ben tried to tell him from the comments, but I was about to say, like, it did surprise me to your point, Maddie, that like, why would Ben not tell him? Because if Ben is so locked in and Ben's his guy and like Ben is basically sucking his tit, like what, why would you not tell him?
Yeah, from what I gathered is it was a very last second thing where Jimmy and Kira kind of pulled in the numbers right before Tribal to get it on Connor. So I just think that there wasn't enough time to pull Vin in as well. At least from what they have said to me.
Yes, fair.
Also, shout out to Zerdali Jones, Queen Icon Star.
Yes. Zerdali is here. Love seeing Zerdali in the background of the episodes. Kayla, do you want to say hi to Zerdali?
Zerdali, I love you. I can't connect to YouTube, so I can't comment with you, but but I'll text you maybe. Also, Richie, that's my Zerdali. I don't know if you're allowed to talk to Zerdali right now.
All right, should we segue over to villains then? I think we covered most of what happened on Heroes.
Sure.
Okay, so I think we open with Dakota and her confessional about being sad that we see Connor go. Oh, wait, Will's got thoughts.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I kind of want to know what you say before I go ahead.
It's only episode 2. So like I'm in for this. Dakota in season 10 is like my Kayla of season 8. Like I'm rooting so hard for her. Like she came in this cast, like meet the cast, and she seemed like such a bad bitch. And I was like, you better eat down. Like, you're going to come in and eat this game up. And it just seems like she just lost the fire. I was like, where to go? She's like, I don't really know what's going on. And then your fiance, boyfriend, whoever gets cut. And I'm like, great. So like now use that to like cut some throats, figure out like who can you try to cut on the other side or position yourself in a good spot. And kind of similar to Vin, but more in like a defeatist way almost. It just seems like she's like, yeah, it's okay. I'm like, girl, like I didn't see your original season, but just going off the Meet the Cast, like you literally came into this game, into this house, like guns a-blazing. I just had this energy that I'm just waiting to see from her. And I've just been so disappointed because honestly, she was one of my top 3 picks. I didn't pick her for the cast. I know because we didn't have the Meet the Cast then. But she was like one of my top 3 picks for the season. And it just seems like the energy is going down fast. So I'm just getting disappointed because I feel like there's so much more she can give.
Well, there is more time. I think, is still in like a good spot. She's kind of still right in the middle of that tribe. So there's still time for her to really commit. Maybe after getting the first vote out of the way, she can feel more comfortable with who she's aligned with, and we can see a little bit of that fire start to ignite more. Dakota is very kind with how she talks with others, and that'll go far in the game.
I was also going to say, like, with limited context to her previous games, it seems like from what she's saying is that she kind of picks a group and stays loyal. And it sounds like she's kind of confused about where her place is in this tribe still. So I think that could like lead to some, I don't know, maybe like, I don't know, just overall confusion and like not a lot of confidence in like making the next move or that fire. So I think maybe I agree with Dan that like there's more time. And I hope once she finds who she wants to align with and find someone to help kind of lead, then she'll be able to like, I don't know, make more of an impact, but I'll give her some time.
Yeah. And it seemed like based on what she was saying, she feels most comfortable with Corey and Emily. And so if she is trusting them, I don't see Emily and Corey kind of parting ways from each other, at least for the time being. So if the 3-pack of them stays strong, I think they're going to continue to control the rest of the village tribe. Okay. So a lot on Nolan because everyone knows about Nolan's idol. So Nolan is telling everyone, look, I'm just going to play my idol. And it doesn't matter how many people tell him, like, are you sure about that? He goes, no, I'm just going to play it. And he stays true to his word. Nolan's making a lot of inroads with Emily and Corey. And we saw last week, Will, you mentioned at the top of the episode, he had it out for Kayla last week. What was up with that, Kayla?
Of why Corey had it out for me?
No, Nolan specifically. Was it all related to the idol?
No, okay, it could have been. I think Nolan just wants to stab Jimmy somehow, but Jimmy's too far away, so I was like the next best thing. And Nolan is still pissed off from a different season that I didn't vote for him to win. So I think it had to do with that as well. And I'm just an easy target because I painted myself as a villain set in stone basically for like the last season. So I think that's what it was. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Nolan. But you can see him in my little picture here. I drew an X on his eyeballs and it felt very nice to draw.
Unfortunately for us, it only shows your beautiful face with the Cash Money broken heart and your infamous fan. But I'm glad that you told us that. It's very burn book from Mean Girls, which I appreciate.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we can see it. And I mean, I think there's some fan cams out there against Nolan too. So
good.
Should we bring up
him?
Should we bring up the fan account of it all?
Shout out to the Minecraft chat.
Roblox is life.
Whatever it is.
Roblox, Minecraft. Yeah, the same thing, right, Jamil? So where was I? Nolan?
Devin saying it was Roblox.
I think it's Vincent. I think it's Vincent or Addie.
Devin, we're all Roblox.
Yeah, we don't officially know. Roblox is a fan account that has Stan, Amelia, and Kayla. Now just Amelia, unfortunately. Has made a couple of fan cam videos. So hoping to see some more after this week's episode. Okay, we got a little sidetracked there. Where were we?
We were talking about how Nolan
for
Kayla. And so I think Kayla brought up a good point that, yeah, I mean, Nolan said it in passing, but it does seem to like Nolan did say it in episode 1. And so Kayla's theory is accurate that he's trying to go after Jimmy, which I'll just say for those of you that watched season 9, they tried to do that with Annika and Maris, and look how that worked out. Maris almost won the season and made it to like final 4, final 5. So the idea of like cross-tribe targets for friends and metagaming, it doesn't work. Like, and I'm not just saying this for Team Will. I've seen this happened before. And I think it's too meta, and especially in a season where there's like multiple couples and multiple friends and past intergame relationships. I just don't think, it's no shade to Kayla or what she could or couldn't do for Jimmy's game. I don't think that it's gonna have the effect that Nolan hopes it does, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I do love how many times Nolan said he's playing his idol, but also I don't think Nolan was the driving force behind Kayla anyways. That was Emily this episode. Kayla left because Emily wanted Kayla to leave, because for the majority of that conversation, it was between Amelia and Matt. Kayla, we had the conversation between you and Emily upstairs where you were talking about Matt. You were approaching it with saying, let's vote Matt because he was mean to Richie on another season. She had asked you if you had talked to Matt previously, and you said no, but she said that you were for sure lying about that. Can you expand more on your perspective of this? Because I don't feel like we got to see your response.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that I interpreted the question is like, are you aligned with Matt? Like, do you have alliances? And I knew that I wanted to work with the girls, and I also wanted to work with the Mall Bros, which is me, Corey, Nolan, Amelia. But I think, like, she had asked, like, have you talked to him? And of course, I talked to everybody, but I don't know if she meant, like, are you tightly aligned with him? Because I wasn't. So I wasn't lying. But I do know from talking around, just like throughout that that apparently it was a big deal. Like right before I got out, they were saying that I lied, and so I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, when did I lie? Like I wanted to come into this game playing a hero, maybe starting a fresh slate, and I'm like, when did I lie? What was interpreted as a lie? And then when it came around to me that I lied about my alliance with Matt, I'm like, Matt literally did not remember my name the entire time. Like there's no way we could have been closely aligned. And yeah, I literally got my heart broken by girls for the first time, like 3 different times this episode. But you know, there's a first for everything. But I think that it was very, very smart on her part to portray that I was lying that early on. So I think it worked.
Oh, and Matt says he forgot what he called Kayla, but it was not Kayla.
Yeah.
So really tight alliance between you two. I think though that was something Emily could use to help push the Kayla narrative. I think for whatever reason, you two probably didn't get off on the right foot. I don't know if she watched any of Second Chances just to see any of Kayla's game at all, or if she just heard from others. But for whatever reason, Emily just got the vibe she couldn't trust you enough to go with you going forward, or like you were too chaotic. So
Do you think that's what it was? I've been like losing sleep of like, why couldn't I win over Emily?
So I'll jump in. I do think that was part of it. I also, it broke my heart when this happened, because Emily kind of, in my perspective, gave you on a silver platter, like, Kayla, we can't really vote based off emotion. And I've been saying the same thing to the screen the entire episode, is like, why are we basing it off old game? And I think this was maybe you trying to do this whole, like, I'm going to be a hero this season. So like Richie was, people were mean to Richie in past seasons. Like now I'm going to kind of like defend his honor. And so Emily was like, we should be voting off of things from like this season or things that are not that. And when your reaction was like, oh, we should, instead of like, oh, you're right, we should do this. To me, if I were Emily, that kind of solidified like, okay, so we're not on the same page. So any doubt that she had, I think, was probably solidified of like, you and her are playing very different like perspectives and have very different senses of how you want or to base a vote. That was my perception. Is I wonder if, and maybe I'm curious your take on this, Kayla. Like, do you think that if you had said like, oh yeah, let's do, I don't know, Matt, or are you already doing that? Let's say like, I don't know, Richie, like pull out a name. You can't do Nolan because he's the idol. Like it's possible that Emily would have said, yeah, let's do it. I think like that was an opportunity for you to have a name and make a case. And understand.
Guys, are you ready for some sneaky things that I noticed in real time?
That's what we have you here for.
In the same conversation where I am talking to Emily, and I think Dakota was next to us, of, hey, it's like round 2. We have nothing to base off of anything. I don't like mean people. Let's let's vote him out, right? In that same conversation, Emily is paraphrasing back to me what I'm saying, and she's like, "So you want to vote out Richie?" And so that she started pushing it to everybody, including Richie, that I started pushing his name. So like throughout that, I'm not sure if this made it to the episode though, but just that spin of narrative that fast, that's when I like started shitting my pants of like, oh, she's out to get me. There's minimal I can do about it.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, Emily went to work fast here. She was all over everything. I mean, whatever anyone else wanted wasn't going to happen unless Emily was okay with it. Yeah. And that's how fast she got to work this episode. I mean, her and Corey are working lockstep. Every season they played previously, they were on together. The first one, they didn't really get a chance to actually play together. But I know they go back, and they're both very strong players, and I just don't see them letting go of this tribe.
Yeah. I literally held Emily's hand and I'm like, we are the Hispanic women of the cast. Like we have to carry. And I don't think that got through to her either, which, womp womp.
Womp womp.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way that, and this is like a Hail Mary, there's two things I could see happening. I could see, if I'm correct, like Emily and Vin are together. That's one of the couples, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could see you throwing that under the bus and being like, y'all, why are we keeping her? Like, clearly, she's getting along with everyone. I don't know if that's perception, right? I'm just seeing what's on TV, but you could do that and just say like, I don't know why, like I have no one. Right. And people will say you have Jimmy, but I don't, it's not as close as a relationship. It's just not going to happen. Right. The other thing I could see is, which this was a Hail Mary because Nolan was hell bent on playing his idol, which I have thoughts on later. But when Amelia was trying to say like, dude, you don't have to play your idol. That's like you, me, Kayla and Richie can make a move here. Shout out, by the way, Amelia, fantastic game. Like she's been eating this up.
No, actually, 100,000 quadrillion %. The SIGs every 5 minutes played to her advantage so much. I think she's so cool for that. I literally would step outside and be like, "Yes, secondhand smoke, please."
Yeah, Amelia is so incredible, and the peeking in the door, and then as she's about to get caught knocking and laughing it off, and then being invited in, I was like, "You better fucking work." You played that off. So like, if you, her, Richie, and Nolan got in a 4 and somehow convinced Nolan to stop being paranoid and not play, I get why he did, but that was a Hail Mary. Amelia tried, he wasn't budging. So yeah, sure. Like I said earlier, you could have pitched something to Emily. I saw in the comments, someone was, Vin was saying that like Emily said I was right, that, she was sketched by you at that point. So like, sure. But again, hindsight's 20/20 in these games. There's a ton of things I can think of from 7 and 9 that I wish I had done differently. So it happens. But you couldn't have expected that you were going to be not targeted, but you know what I mean? Like called out like that.
Right.
So give yourself some credit.
I used some currency too, and I was like, hey, we saw Nolan have the idol, like let's use that to our advantage. So I tried using that as currency. I tried using social currency of like, I want to be besties, and I always fantasized about a girl alliance in the show, and yeah, it was just heartbreaking it didn't work. But I wish Dakota would have put her foot down too. And then Amelia, I love her as well, but I understand like they did what they do with they told her last minute apparently that I was going out, and then Richie, I have some comments to say about Richie, but all I'll say is like snakes are my favorite animal, but like you need to have a spine to be a snake, so I have to call Richie a worm. So I'm sorry, babe, I love you.
Okay, so I have to say, whenever you play another LRG, because it's bound to happen, you got the bug. We talked about this like 2 games ago. This is the Kayla that needs to come out. I know you want your hero arc. You had your redemption. You're good. We know you have a heart of gold, but like this is a game like Queen Snake. I want to see her come back. I think that is how you have a winning game. I told you that after 9. So I'll just say that like that sort of comment is what I want to see more of whenever you play your next game.
Sadly, this was my villain arc, Will. I think you created a monster, so thanks for supporting that.
You are welcome. We need more villains.
Is it bad that I didn't know snakes had spines?
What else would they have, Dan?
I don't know. It just seems so bendy. Do you want to talk more about Richie? Because we saw his comment as he was voting you out that he told you to simmer down and you didn't listen. So the survivor psychic has spoken, apparently. You already kind of addressed it, but did you want to address it more?
Sure. He did tell me to like calm down. Like I was going upstairs and downstairs, I guess. I think a little bit of that is Richie projecting because he was anxious as well, and I think that he kind of had a little bit of anxiety that he'd be first boot. But again, like I kind of wish I went harder, and I kind of wish that I would have covered my ass more in other alliances and not just the girls. I think I put all my eggs in the basket of the girls. So maybe even go harder and talk to more people in some ways. Like obviously I managed relationships like very lightly for the other ones as well. But I almost kind of wish I went pedal to the metal now. But yeah, he did tell me to calm down, and I hope he took his own advice for future rounds. Also, Richie, no bad blood. You're really cool. I'm sorry I called you a worm.
I was on mute.
I was gonna say, and we can't hear you.
Yeah. I was just gonna say this is an awkward segue, but I like that Richie named the immunity idol Ernesto, and I'm very proud of how he's playing.
Woo!
Oh,
my worm forever.
Sorry, I have a script to it here too. Okay, so Richie did say, I already kind of talked about it. With the simmer down comment, he texted me afterwards saying that he had that conversation with you prior. I don't know if that actually had an effect. What was the timing of when he had that conversation with you? Was it right after the immunity challenge?
Oh gosh, no, it was maybe a little bit after. Yeah, I couldn't pinpoint the timing for you.
Okay, I was just curious if it actually, like, if you took his advice of simmering down, whatever that may look like, if it would have changed anything, or if there was no time at that point.
So at that point, this villain's tribe is rightfully named. I kind of say in my out confessional interview, but I truly thought that like I was fine. So if anything, I am thankful to Richie. He maybe gave me a little bit of inkling that I wasn't, that, you know, my name is out there. And I think maybe even Matt said it, but like Matt didn't even know my name. And like, so if anything, Richie did give me a little bit of hint of like, Haley, you have to calm down. And I'm like, calm down. Like I seem to be fine. So I only knew that Emily hated me for some reason. But after Richie said that, I'm like, maybe more people do. Or maybe more people have, not that I even made the conclusion that I would get out that round. But Richie did give me a hint that maybe I should have taken it as like a canary in the mines kind of thing of like, oh no, you know?
Yeah, I think the big thing was once Nolan was lost, it was just hard to surmount those numbers that were already there from the Whitewater side, then plus Nolan. I think you really needed Nolan on your side to get through that vote, and just for whatever reason he was against it, and maybe Emily's missed.
Absolutely, I guess so. Nolan, you're a snake too. I actually will give Nolan an actual snake card, so venomous maybe. Actually, no. Emily's venomous. Nolan is like a garter snake, but at least he has teeth and is a snake.
But Richie's a worm still.
I'm sorry, Richie. To be fair, my boyfriend would love me if I was a worm. I'm sure yours would too, you know?
I mean, you are on a team of villains, so like, you know, you should expect that you're in a snake den. I think that, you know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Will.
Yeah. We did have some good moments from Corey this episode too. We haven't really talked about him much. He has, similar to like what we were saying with Emily, kind of attachments throughout this entire tribe. Pretty much an alliance with everyone, repeatedly saying we're going to make it to Saturday, which is a really good way to just motivate people to work together of like, okay, I at least know I can get to the next day. Like Corey's in this with me. We're going to get to Saturday together. Whether Corey remains true to that, we'll see. But I think that the people he's talking to are going to remain true to it for Corey's side, at least. What I said even made sense. But I like how many times Corey says Saturday this episode, and he did make me laugh this episode.
I cannot. I'm obsessed with Corey. Like, I'm a huge fan. I don't think it'll happen because like I just have never seen an FTC. This is going to be so shady coming off 9. I've never seen an FTC where I think that every single player is like a massive, massive threat. You know where my 2 votes almost went. But I would love to see Akira, Jimmy, Corey, Emily Final 4. I think that would be epic. Those are my 4 people I'm pulling for right now. Corey is eating down. I don't want to lose any of my idiots is the greatest thing I've heard this season. And he won. Like, I just want y'all to remember, like, villains can win saying shit like that. I don't know how close the vote was in his season, but like, I could see him saying that in a tribal and still winning. Like, his missed. I think like he is just. I'm. What are the kids saying? Glazed. I'm glazing Corey, but he is such a great player. The little bathroom chat with Matt and Richie. I could see, I wouldn't have expected this going into the season, but I could see Corey working really well with Richie, where like Corey can quell Richie's paranoia and anxiety, like when he froze in front of Amelia and then Amelia left and Corey's like, dude, you're good. Because you could see Richie's like spiraling already. And Corey's like, dude, chill, like we're good. Just do what we have to do. You and Matt befriend each other, get over your bullshit, and like let's just solid the vote. I think if he can like bring Richie under his wing and kind of like quell the anxiety and have that as an extra vote for the tribe until merge or even after, I think Corey's in a solid spot already. But that's just another way that I see where he's heading. So I'm excited to see what's coming.
Both of the Davis brothers know how to best work with Richie and calm him down. This is what Jimmy's alluding to here in Whitewater Legends, the last season. There is a very pivotal moment where Christian has a very similar conversation that Corey had with Richie of just reassuring him like, dude, you are here. You are a legend. It's okay. We've got this together. So I have no doubt Corey has already played with Richie too, knows how he functions. I know both the Davises have known him for a long time. And I wouldn't doubt that Christian was probably talking with Corey about it too, of like, hey, this is the best way to work with Richie, as you've seen in the past.
Also, quick shout out, because I forgot to put this in my episode 1 recap. Shout out to Christian. Why are we clapping? Another iconic quote from this season. I love these brothers. These are true to form villains, and I hope that we see more of that on this villains tribe, because I want villainry. I want the shade.
I'm curious here, your guys' perspective also. I feel like there's a lot of, and maybe this is just me, but a lot of people from like the quote unquote new era trying to like vying like for old school people's like attention and approval and like wanting to get in really good with them. You see like Nolan try really hard to get in with Corey. You see, Ben trying to get in really hard with Vin, and like Amelia and Kayla really want to work with Dakota and Emily, but they don't necessarily have the same feelings back. I guess, how are you guys seeing this? Do you think there's any, I don't know, real sentiment to that, or is it just kind of perception?
Obviously, I have thoughts, but I'd love to hear Kayla as someone who I think was very much positioned that way this episode and arguably led to her downfall. So, like, Kayla, what are some of your thoughts on that?
Maddie, that's so true. And especially like Maddie, your context playing in like a mixed season as well. I think I just wanted to win them over. Like, I think we're so familiar with each other. We just want to see some of the new blood and like see if we mesh with them, if we can game with them. I heard word on the street that Corey was one of the more arrogant Davis brothers, and I'm like, to top Christian, there's no way. And so then I met him and I'm like, oh no, like he's fine, he's like sweet and like he'll work with us. But I should have listened to the word on the street and like the reputation of it all. Not new blood, oh my gosh, Ben, that's not what I meant. And yeah, we always want the validation. I think, we're on LRGs for a reason. We want to make new friends and be liked like across all the seasons. And we were kind of intimidated by the new people. We had heard like also word on the street was that the Whitewater people were cutthroat. And so you're being placed on a villains tribe. Your only preemptive understanding of them is that they are villains. So you kind of want to get in with everybody and feel like you're fine and safe. Yeah, and I think that we all tried for that, and obviously worked for some people. I wouldn't know. I got out pretty early, so I also want to see how it worked for everybody else.
I'm just thinking, knowing how cutthroat that they are, I can see wanting to like make them be on your side, but then wouldn't you in turn want to be just as cutthroat back to them and be like, look, they're going to be coming for the new era people, whether we want to play clean slate or not. There's always going to be this pre-existing half of the cast knows each other very well and the other half knows each other very well, and they don't know each other at all. And so I think it's natural then. It's a little different than Second Chances, where it was like all season 7 and 8, and we all had a chance to intermingle ahead of time. So I think there was more fluidity, whereas these two halves don't really know each other at all and have never talked to each other. So I think there's an inherent mistrust of one side because the other side knows each other so well.
So
okay,
true.
so first of all, I just pulled up the Idol Identifiers YouTube page because this has been bothering me for a while, and I'm right. It's Second Chance, not Second Chances. It's, I could say that about another upcoming game that we talk about that also does not end in an S. So you and Trinity can stop pluralizing all of these LRGs. Thank you very much. It irks me. Anyway, back to Maddie's great question. Speaking of that, I think that like my perception, having not played maybe more LRGs than anyone else in modern like Wisconsin, but a lot that aren't just Wisconsin, and the Midwestern ones were all with the same fucking people, even when they weren't Survivor Wisconsin. Like, you want to end up playing with like people who are different. I think what might be different though, like to that point, is like, you know, from season 7 to season 10, it's been what, like 2 years. So when a lot of these players have played Wisconsin 7 and 9 or 8 and 9 plus other LRGs in the community, people want to play with new players. Clearly, like, these alliances aren't always working, or they just want to change things up. Like we see in 9, like, you know, 7 and 8 people were more mixed than just sticking with their OG seasons. Not Will's the singular villain. Whereas I think with Whitewater, like, to my understanding, those folks have only played Whitewater or like maybe Wisconsin. So like they've only played like this game. So they haven't played in a while. They haven't necessarily all played with each other. So I think that's, I hate all of you. I think maybe that's like more of the thought. To the part that you brought up, Maddie, which is really interesting, is like, why is Whitewater maybe more cold to like modern era? I don't know. That's kind of the one piece of the puzzle I haven't been able to figure out. But that's been kind of my theory, at least generally, about like why modern wants so badly to work with the older folks, and that the older folks aren't automatically like rushing for that. So
I think it's because we're the favorite child, but they're like the oldest.
Oh.
I mean, it also makes me think of like, not to, as I talked earlier about like metagaming, but also reminds me of like season 50, right? Like, we're seeing a lot of that where it's like the old school and the new school, and like, we're not going to work with the new school. Like, everything's so different, and we're going to prove that like we know what we're doing. And new school's like, hold up, this is basically our show because the format is the same as what we're used to. Y'all can't keep up. And there's this kind of like rivalry in that way. So I wonder if there's maybe unspoken layers of that. I'm not really a Survivor person, so I'm just kind of shooting shit as it comes to my mind. But do you have any thoughts, Maddie? Because I know it was your question, but
No, I was curious. I kind of hear Kayla on the like oldest child versus like favorite child. I don't know. I think the game's changed a lot, but I don't know. It's been really interesting to watch because you just, oh yes, they're reading Devin's comment too. Like, that's true. I feel like a lot of them didn't necessarily watch like the newer era, even like Survivor Wisconsin, but I don't think a lot of newer era people watched the older ones either. So I don't know. I think there's like maybe some subconscious, like, I don't know, reason they don't want to work with new era. I don't know. I really have no real conclusion. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the end, because I could see people coming around, but just right now it seems very, I don't know, split.
Well, I mean, Matt told us right up front, this one's for the old dogs. Even though he himself is not an old dog. But that was a good moment I liked, was Emily saying she had played in a season with Matt before, and Devin correcting her on the screen saying that they never played together. I am curious if Emily is in the chat. Was that an intentional lie? Or I think that Matt was on production during the Legends season, so maybe that got intermingled, but just curious. And Corey says, new era people aren't nearly as flexible as they say. I said what I said. Something, a little spoiler to come. New era strong.
I mean, as I said, we can play a season together. We could see how that goes. We can test that theory. But since you brought up Matt, I wanted to say, Matt has been very grateful that I chose him on my team, so it's time to undercut that a little bit. You were talking about big dogs winning, and they all come from Whitewater. I mean, first of all, I've been waiting for this from the strategy from most of you, but also, Matt, my Team Will. I'm all for Team Will, but when you had to be told not to cut Dakota because she's on an island after losing her boyfriend, fiance, whatever. Yeah, like, why are you cutting her? She's by herself. Like, she's a number you pull in. Like, I wanted to like shake and be like, dude, what are you doing? So I don't really know if that's how big dogs win, but you know, I haven't won a Survivor game or made it to a final. So what do I know?
One thing Matt did win was proving me wrong. I was very confident in him or Richie being the first boot and them going at each other, but they actually somewhat worked together, at least for this round. So I will eat my words.
Nest.
Yeah, it was all Corey. Yeah. He's like, how do I get these two to actually work together? About Matty Ice, I appreciated that he was willing to work with Richie.
Again, I haven't seen their seasons. I just know Richie, and I'm kind of getting a sense of Matt rather quickly. I feel like Matt is more. Matt is someone who I feel like can be more talked to, like talked off the ledge, whereas like Richie is a very emotional player, and I think like if Matt rubs in the wrong way off one little thing, that's severed. So I'm curious how that'll go, but I think Matt would listen to someone like a Corey and be like, okay, I'm going to do it. Like, let's just get to merge. So yeah, I agree with you, Dan. I thought that one of them was going to go first just because they're shooting at each other. So I'm glad that they were able to like bury the hatchet and think strategically, especially for Team Will. But I'm not super confident that that's going to last until merge. So we will see. They're my idiots. Let's go.
Corey, I'm not kidding. You won both Will and I over completely. If you hadn't already, that line was so good.
Dude, no regrets about choosing Jimmy first pick, because I would never expect a two-time winner. But if you hadn't won previously, like, I would have regretted not picking you first. Sorry, Jimmy. I will put that. I'll put that out there.
I mean, you know, Will, Mr. Team Girls and Gays, never picking either a girl or a gay for his team.
Well, girl, they almost cut the gay, and then they cut the woman second. Like, I know Survivor Wisconsin. Let's just call it what it is.
Right.
I'll align with them when I'm there to help. But like when I'm pulling a team, I know how these bros are going to vote.
I mean, my team's still alive, so.
Which, by the way, we didn't talk about. While we're on the topic about Vin having this like Black Widow thing. Why is it always that like the women are automatically aligned, but the men aren't aligned? You weren't, Vin. You weren't aligned with all the other men on your tribe. So like, if we're gonna pull the gender thing, it works both ways. Let's make it make sense.
You could kind of. Did you catch the look on Kira's face when Vin was saying that?
Yeah, when she started, she was like this. I was like, that is my queen. That is my queen. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Wake it up, people.
I mean, the women as a whole come in a minority of 10-6, but we're still going to be worried about that women's alliance.
Like, you literally are worried about an all women's alliance when you just tried to vote Joe. So you're not in an all men's alliance. Like, why does it only work one way?
Yeah. And clearly there wasn't a women's alliance to begin with. There were other stronger alliances made on the villains tribe. So, you know.
And maybe this is why modern era works closer together, because we're not tied to gender norms and bromances. But I rest my case for this episode on that topic. I'm sure it'll come up again.
Yeah, and I do want to say I love how Amelia is playing, and we should definitely believe women.
We should always believe women. on the topic, but also, yeah, as I said earlier, I can't say enough good things. Amelia is eating down, and if she doesn't make jury, I will be very surprised. Or they did her good. Like I she's just playing a fucking fantastic game, man. And my favorite thing, you all know how I try to play, of like having like good enough gameplay and still being solid TV. Like, it's so good. Like, you don't have to sacrifice being boring to play a good game, and I'm so glad that she's reminding us of that this season.
I really hope that Amelia can hang on longer. I mean, she was able to at least win it over for this vote. Hopefully that buys her enough time to just stay until at least merge and we can see more. She's been awesome to watch. And I also just like how clearly Dakota and Emily were both vibing enough with Amelia to want to keep her. Dakota reaffirming that to Amelia as she's coming up, because Amelia was talking shit about how Dakota was lying to her face earlier. But then Dakota is going like, I want to keep Amelia to Amelia right before they go to vote. Loved it.
And I mean, even Amelia telling Nolan, like, dude, don't play your idol. Like, it's not worth it. We can get something moving. Like, that is not, maybe I was just in the wrong conversations, but that was not the Amelia level strategy that I saw in season 9 when I was at the cabin. So I'm really, really impressed for her to like have that kind of, because I would say a good solid quarter of this cast, no shade, but shade, would not have the strategy for that. So for her to come up with that and be like, dude, you're solid, we got you, let's try to make something happen. Where do you want to vote? I was like, you better pop off. I was very impressed. Which then brings us to Nolan. I think that, like, I get it. Like, he was saying how there's no battle back. But even if there was, you leave with it in your pocket. So like that argument doesn't really hold up. I personally think it was a waste. I think for someone as confident in their game as Nolan was, at least in season 8, be confident you don't need the idol. Like, why are you getting paranoid? Yeah. I don't know. Would you, if you all were in Nolan's shoes, would you play the idol or not? I personally wouldn't.
I was going to say, let's start with Maddie's already shaking her head, but I was like, you had one from the start of Second Chance, and you didn't play it. So you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I was really surprised to see him play it, to be honest. I literally have written down, I thought he was going to hold it. Like, I really thought he was going to kind of Rizzo us and like keep playing or keep saying he's going to play it and not, because like that's such a good villain moment. I feel like here he kind of played his cards a little bit. Corey's in the chat with some shade, but I don't know. I think in a sense, like, I think it maybe will bear well for him just being like, I don't have it anymore. You can all trust me. I said I was going to play it and I did, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. What do you guys, would you have done the same, Dan?
I wouldn't have. I mean, I'd have to find an idol first, which couldn't be me, but even if people knew about it, I think where he kind of almost put himself into the corner where he said a million times, I'm playing my idol. So then if he doesn't, then he's like, now I'm playing it to establish trust because I said I'm going to do it. I'm like, well, you didn't have to repeatedly say you're going to do it and still try and establish trust with people telling you don't have to play it. But Kayla, if you had the idol, well, obviously, okay, you went home. Maybe this is a bad question because you for sure should have played it if you had it. But right. I was just thinking, you also found a public idol on season 8. What are your thoughts on Nolan playing the idol?
I was so pissed off. I literally saw Nolan. I saw the idol as Nolan grabbed for it. Oh my gosh, I was so upset. I literally thought though that Nolan wasn't gonna play it. I thought he was telling everybody, and then just wasn't going to. But I think that as a villain, he wanted to show that he wanted to work with these people, and that's what his speech was as he played it. Like, I want to work with these people, and I don't know, but do you think he was actually thinking that he was going to get voted out? There was no way. Like, he knew that everybody, exactly. So he just wanted it as a sign of trust. And I don't know if it worked for him, but yeah, I mean, that's all it was. I did not expect it, though. Even though he said up and down that he would use it.
Kayla, based on what we saw on episode 1, I don't know if this was clear, or also there's just, you can't show every single piece of footage. Did other people know that Nolan had the idol separate from you spreading it? Or was it solely based on you, like, telling people during that round when your tribe was safe?
This is something that I need to clear up. Okay. It was either Dakota or Emily. Obviously, in the heat of the game, my memory is not perfect, but either Dakota or Emily saw Nolan have the idol with me. That's how I perceived it. That's how I interpreted it. Now, if under some weird circumstance their eyes were closed as Nolan grabbed it, because in that like little like landing area above the stairs, like I know it was the three of us, and like your eyes are peeled. I assume it was one of the two who saw them. Okay. And then I think I pulled Dakota aside and like, hey, and I said, hey, I was talking to her about the idol, and then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, she was up there, but maybe she didn't see it. Okay, there you go. Emily, me, and Kayla were there. And so I was talking to Dakota about the idol, and I was like, it dawned on me, maybe she didn't see it. Maybe I accidentally spilled to her. So then I pulled her aside separately and was like, hey, not sure if you saw it or not, but either way, do you mind saying that like you saw it and I'm not the one like spreading things? So at this point I thought we were all working together. And she's like, oh, for sure. I don't think it advanced anything more than that, but that's the one thing when I got out, I'm like, okay, maybe I did that sloppy because I had misinterpreted who had seen Nolan grab it. So I just wanted to, and then Devin said Dakota might have been playing dumb, which is smart on her too, but yeah, I think I'm glad it didn't get to Emily for ammunition because I think that would have been gone hard, unless it did. So either way.
I'm also curious, just to put this out there for moving forward, like we talked earlier about how Emily was sus of Kayla because Kayla was being like kind of shifty and, wasn't really like saying like, I'm in with you. So like, yeah, you're right. Let's do this. And almost like, I won't say Emily seems like someone who wants to be pandered to, but like definitely wants someone who's like, I'm with you. So I'm curious when Emily said like, Nolan, don't use the idol. I have you. You're my, essentially my person. I don't know if she said number one, but she seemed pretty locked in. I'm curious. That was the first thing I thought of when Nolan stood up in front of everyone, was like, I want to work with those who want to work with me. And I trust you, but I'm still playing this. My first thought is, I wonder if Emily is now going to flip on him too, because he's kind of doing the same thing that Kayla is, of like showing that like, yeah, I don't fully, I trust you, but not enough that I'm not going to play it. So I know an idol's a little bit different, but I'm just going to throw that out there. It's been something that is definitely on my mind as we go into episode 3.
Agreed. Should we, I guess we already know the result. I think we covered most of the post villains tribe. Obviously it comes down to a unanimous vote. Nolan tells Amelia at tribal, we can see them whispering back and forth that really there's no point. All the numbers are on Kayla, and poor K Cash Money gets her torch snuffed.
Bankrupt.
I love how kind Kayla is to her allies.
Well, I need the fan. I need something to take the edge off of being voted out. Thank you.
Kayla, this is a question I'm going to ask. I think this will be a question I ask everyone who wants to come on the pod. So for those of you who are coming on at any point, you can be prepared. Hindsight's always 20/20, but like anything that you wish you had done differently watching the episode back?
Oh yeah, and I've been sprinkling that through my commentary.
Sure.
Doubling down, doing something evil with Richie. Didn't know I'd need to do that, within the first round. But I am angry I didn't aura farm as much. Like that's usually something I pride my gameplay on, and I think I was scared shitless. Didn't know I needed to bust that out in the first round. That's all the airtime I'd have. Definitely would have been more evil, snatched the idol out of Nolan's hand. I don't know if there's rules around that. So would have just been more sassy, spunky, and lean into the black cat energy that Dakota told me I had, that I don't know if she was scared of, but love the people I met, and I love to play. And yeah, wish I aura farmed in addition to everything I said.
Do we think you were cursed because Jamil drafted you to his team?
Do you?
I think it might have something to do with it.
Girl, that was karma for season 9.
No, absolutely. I was like, I'm gonna come on the pod and Will's gonna be like, Karma's a bitch, babe. And I'm like, you know what? I deserve it. I texted you. I was like, you can be mean to me if you want.
No, and I texted you back just for obviously those who weren't in the text conversation, which was everyone but me and Kayla. I said, A, I don't need invitation to be mean. I'm going to be mean when I feel like being mean. And I think I've shown that a little bit on the pod already tonight, but we have a long season to go. And B, I said, like, you played a solid game. I think you just had a couple things against you. If Dan and I do a truth table like Jimmy did, I'll save some of my comments for that. But I think the shorthand of it is like this was Heroes so far, just based on 1 and 2. Heroes seems to be like Survivor Wisconsin strong, and Villains seems to be Whitewater strong. And yes, there's intermixing and blah blah blah, but like at least for this first vote, it seems like those were kind of like solid in their people. Maybe swap out like Dakota and Nolan in that way on Villains, but aside from that, I think they're kind of like holding their roots. And so you were just kind of in the minority in that way. So, you know, I don't think there's anything like big for me to shade you on. It was just, it is what it was.
There was only like a couple episodes. What could you shade me on, you know?
Period.
Nothing yet.
And Will, you probably don't remember this from the draft, but I said that at the draft. I'm like, well, it seems like Heroes Tribe is probably New Era strong and Villains Tribe is Old Era strong. So I just wanted to say I was right. So far.
I would love
right in one comment, but let's see how right you were in choosing your team.
Ooh.
That's a good segue into saying who we think did the best on this episode. We're going to workshopping a player of the episode name, but for at least now, we're going to decide who is serving the ImmuniTEA this week. I'm going. Okay, thanks, Ben. Ben's always so kind to me. I'm going to start us off because you had me segue about my team. My first draft pick, Emily. I mean, I've already kind of given her flowers throughout this episode. She has such a stranglehold on that tribe. She's the one that really made sure Kayla was the one that went home rather than it being Amelia or Matt, which seemed to be the main conversation until she really dug her claws in. And I also love how Emily talked to Nolan and put him in his place. LOL.
Is that your positive comment?
Yeah.
I will say mine is also going to be Emily. I think her ability to work with Nolan, no shade but shade. Power to you, girl. I think that she had her plan. She wanted Kayla out, and she ran this fucking vote. She even like I said earlier, tried to give Kayla a shot, but wasn't happy with the answer and like made sure she put the nail in the coffin. Special shout out to Corey, but I think Emily takes this one for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree that Emily had like sheer power this episode. Like we see her really like sway the troops on so many of the like votes. But I'm gonna give Amelia her flowers here. I think we really see Amelia, like even Kayla mentioning the little smoke breaks, like we see her make the cookies, you know, the little things that just like kind of are good faith, but then also the great gameplay, like well, like you mentioned, like peeking through the door, like listening, but then getting brought in. I think she's like shown today that she is such a like versatile player, and I think that's really gonna go far. Where I could see like a really strong like player like Emily get kind of clocked and possibly taken out somewhat early, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Maddie absolutely stole my answer. I am obsessed with Amelia, and I can't give any spoilers because I literally was watching like Alyssa Liu YouTube videos with Zerdali in the second floor for the rest of the weekend. I actually stayed, but like seeing Amelia's gameplay and like how level-headed she was throughout that entire time was absolutely crazy. I know she's set up for success. I know it can really throw you off like when a close alliance member is gone in the first couple of boots, but I definitely didn't get that vibe even like walking out. I was like, you know what, Amelia's got this, and like if I get out, I really want Amelia to win. So I want Amelia to win the flowers for the episode 1,000 times over, but I'm only on this pod. But Maddie, if you're back, you got this.
Roblox's life would agree with you guys.
Yeah, which I think it's Vincent, but we'll see.
Also, I did not choose Emily for this reason, but shout out to serving the ImmuniTEA being all femme people the day after International Women's Day. and two femho guests. Period.
You nailed it. You nailed it, man.
Thank you. I was like, not ghost. Ghost is not the word.
All right. So
let's bring up the rankings. Let's see how
rankings. Oh, for fantasy. Well, while I do that,
losing.
The people in chat, if they have questions, start sending them now. But I don't have like a spreadsheet.
Want to show how Jamel and Alex are losing.
Yeah. Alex is clearly he's in last right now, with Connor. Rest in peace. And then Jamil second to last, and everyone else is tied for first.
Yeah, y'all thought y'all are sleeping on Matt, but my boy is pulling through. Dan even said himself he thought he was going to be first boot, but guess what? Team Will.
Second boot is still on the table.
Jimmy's got an idol. Matt's missed. We're solid.
Okay, so who do we think's next out the game from each tribe? I'm going to, even if Kayla doesn't have total spoilers, we're going to eliminate her from this question just because she was there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone want to start? I mean, I'll start. I'm going to still say Matt. I'm going to double down. I know Matt's in the comments right now, so he can continue to hate me and love Will. That's fine. I think that Kayla gone. I think Amelia, Dakota, and Emily seem a little bit better with. Matt's just kind of there. I don't know if they feel like as confident, like we need this guy here. And depending on how closed off Richie is, if they still want to keep Richie in, they might go that route. And for heroes, I didn't see anything that changed how I felt last week about Kyle still being on the outs after how that vote went for him. He has the social game to get him there, but the alliances on Heroes Tribe just seem to be not including him currently.
Interesting. Yeah, very different opinions. I would say for villains, I mean, right now, I think like it's pretty clear that Emily and Corey are running the ship. So I think it's going to be kind of whatever they want to do. So obviously with that, no one's off the table. I'm going to go with Dakota. I think if they're smart, like let Richie and Matt shoot at each other through merge. Like that, like going into merge with two people that are gunning for each other, then add Vin in the mix. Like you can skate right on by. I would 100%. Dakota's already by herself and giving up. So I would totally, unless they want to pull her in for a vote, like let her go, or maybe Amelia. I mean, again, I want Amelia to stay as a viewer, but game wise, I could see that being the move. Heroes, I'm a little bit worried about my girl Jo. I love Jo, but after that vote, I'm worried that it seemed like Jimmy and maybe a little bit of Ben kind of like pivoted away, but I'm nervous that if this tides start to go back, because I don't know. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Jo.
Dan, who did you say for villains?
I said Matt.
Okay. And Will, who did you say for heroes?
Jo. I'm not super solid in any direction on heroes, but
yeah, I'm just so curious. I kind of have similar thoughts, I think, for both tribes in a sense. My first instinct was either Dakota or Nolan for villains. Agree with Will because Dakota seems like kind of down and out at this point. But also what I think, Will, you mentioned, like, I don't know, playing the idol and everything. I don't know. I could see it going a different way if he wasn't showing as like quote unquote strong of a front with Emily and Corey, who definitely, I agree, have control. I'll stick with Dakota. I think right now was my first thought. And then for heroes, I'm thinking Kyle still might be on the chopping block. I think Jimmy's got a lot of control right now, and we see him really pair up with Ben and Kira, like they know about the idol. And then he also pivoted, like you said, away from Jo last vote. So I think he's kind of got four people in his corner right now. I think it would be really hard to not go for Kyle or Vin. So I could see both of them going out. But I think, I don't know, since Kyle's already got so much momentum, that's who I would go with.
We do have a couple questions for Kayla. I think I know the answer to this one, but Christian asks, who is your number one, Kayla?
It was Amelia. That was my number one.
Pretty straightforward. think I saw one from Devin too that I'm struggling to find, but I think he said something. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Who was someone on Heroes you would have liked to work with?
Okay. So it's like obvious. I'm not going to list every single alliance I've ever had and who you guys think I'd work with. That's confidential information. But one that I like absolutely adore and like might die for is Kyle. I think Kyle's one of the coolest people ever. And even in the pregame, I looked at him and I'm like, the shotties are running this game. So in another life, maybe we did. But cast somebody that's like under 5'5" and watch what happens. And he did like a couple times. So I think that would have been the iconic duo that this season needed. But again, awesome characters all around. So Devin, my hats off to you. I was blown away by how awesome like every single character was, and I think you would do a really good job at casting. Just put me on a better tribe next time so I can win. Thank you.
Okay. Christian had a follow-up saying that the person that didn't save you, Kayla, can't be player of the episode. Well, I'd like to correct you, Christian, because we were saying who was serving the ImmuniTEA, and Amelia certainly did that. So
yeah, nobody saved me, so do I just not get a player of the episode? I don't know.
Also, Christian, if you want to have your opinion matter so much, then you should be running the pod instead of choosing us to do it. So thanks, but no thanks for your opinion we didn't ask for.
Yikes.
We've got a question from Jamil. So I guess answer if you want.
Wait,
Dan,
you skipped one.
What's that?
You skipped Devin's question.
Did I? Is there another one?
Nick versus Will 2.0. It's a very important question.
That's not a question, is it?
There's a question mark, and there's a question symbol next to it, implying it's a question.
Okay, so you want to elaborate on that?
Devin, who are we referring to? Because I have thoughts.
I think you're talking about
Matt and
Matt and Richie.
Girl, they wish. They fucking wish. When they have a tribe, actually, when they have a merge going back and forth, and the vote, speaking of, thank you, Queen Maddie, for saving me, and the vote comes down to one vote, then they can come talk to me. I don't think that they are going to last long enough to have that happen as a against each other thing. Maybe I could see it being a Vin and Richie blowing up and having it be some like explosive thing at merge, but not if it's Richie and Matt. I think they're going to shoot each other before it's over. Shout out to my girl Nick, iconic. Bring me back. I'll make another one.
Okay, so Jamil wants to know, if we were in the game, who would be our closest ally and who would we want out, in all caps?
Hands down, Corey. Not even a question.
Team girls and gays.
Team girls and gays. I do it again. I go for the straight white man. What else is new? I just don't. I'll eat my words. I have to think of a better bet if I'm wrong and he wins this season. I just don't see them crowning him twice. So I think he's a very smart person to bring to the end. He's also a very smart strategist. I think he has a great way of just like talking with people. I just think he'd be a great ally. Who I'd want out? This might surprise some people. Probably Kira. I think that she's going to do very well this season. I just have a feeling, again, having played so closely with her before, I know what she's capable of. And I think that Kira might be my Maris of season 9, the person who I like want to work with, but I can't fully trust and kind of want outcome jury. I think Kira's a huge threat, and I'd be stupid to let her get to the end.
I don't think anybody, if you said that in game, I don't think anybody would believe you though. If you said you wanted Kira out, nobody would let you let that slide ever.
He's an honest player.
Right.
Until my vote shows it, right?
I guess so.
I guess so. We'll see if me and Kira play a game together and I can prove
it. Maddie, did you have thoughts
allegedly.
on this?
I love Will's answer. I will agree with Kayla though. I don't think anyone's believing you about getting Kira out anytime soon. I kind of agree with like if someone I would align with, like a Corey or an Emily, just because I feel like I've historically worked with like bigger like personalities where like I can fall back a little bit and like play a little bit more of a supporting role for most of the game. Obviously I've aligned with Ben several times and I feel like he's a little bit more like extroverted. I need my extrovert so I can not do all of the social work. And so I feel like that's like boded well for me in the past. But I do think there's some really interesting dynamics with like the sheer amount of like old school players on that villains tribe. As far as someone I'd want to get out, I'm not sure. There's like not anybody I really would have in mind. I would say if I wasn't aligned with someone like Emily, I think she's like such a threat and that would need to go early. But it's really like if you're on their side or not, sort of thing, right? Like you want to beat them, or if you can't beat them, you got to join them or whatever. But that's where my head's at.
Yeah, Kyle, I would have loved to work with. We vibed so hard at Second Chance Singular. But I instantly fell in love with the guy. I think it'd be a lot of fun to play with him. I mean, and just see where we could take it. Who I would want out, I was gonna echo kind of what Maddie was saying, and this is a compliment. I think Emily is terrifying because I would want to work with her, but at the same time, I don't know that she would want to work with me. And I mean, coming off of Second Chances where I tried working with everyone, I think Emily would see that and be like, we're going to cut that shit out right away and get this guy out.
Right. Different characters were rewarded as like it. Right, Dan. I don't know if you were, obviously you wouldn't make it 2 seconds on. I mean, I don't know. You would have, but I just think that your gameplay was very specific to your season.
Well, I mean, I would have hopefully adjusted, but we'll see.
Yes.
Well, I guess we won't see.
I think Maddie's gameplay would have been like rewarded times 5,000 on this season. Will, I don't know enough about like the Heroes tribe to say whether or not your gameplay would have been rewarded. I think Dan would have been pre-merge. I think Maddie would have gone far.
Well, Will wouldn't have been on the Heroes tribe.
You don't think so?
Look, if Jimmy's there, I think I could be there.
Right.
Jimmy is not a bigger villain than Ben.
And I will say, I was roommates with Joe in an LRG, and we bonded very well. So I would have been good with Joe. I think Jimmy and I could have made something happen. Ben owes me after season 9 when he said he was going to make amends for other games. So I think I could have pulled through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could have gotten along with Vin and his breakfast food, but you know, I could have tried to make it work.
I think I would have been okay on Heroes Tribe. I think I would have struggled on Villains, but I don't think I would have been put on the Villains
tribe.
Oh,
Villains!
Yeah, why would you be on Villains?
Villains, I would have thrown no one under the bus in a heartbeat. I mean, I don't know if it would have worked with the whole idol thing, but I would have loved to have worked with Amelia. I tried to 9 and it didn't work, so I would have loved the opportunity to do it again, for real. And who knows? Maybe with a little girl chat, Dakota would bring out her baddie self that we saw in the Meet the Cast. We could have made some shit happen.
Christian was saying, Will, that after your first season, he wanted you for Heroes vs. Villains too, but the schedule wouldn't work. But you were without a doubt a villain.
Well, I appreciate that. Not to gas myself up too much, but Realty, Devin did move around the dates a little bit for 9 to make sure I could make it before I moved. So I'm very grateful to Wizco. So had my time whenever life works out. But yeah, there was no way, even if you had invited me, which they didn't for the record, no way I would have made it with the move. So I appreciate that. That's very sweet.
They pay him to say that, by the way.
But All-Stars, baby, let's go.
Wanted to share some love Devin sent earlier to Kayla. 3 straight seasons in a row. Were you the only? I think you're the only one that was 3 in a row, right? Because I know Ben and Kira were 7, so they would have skipped 8.
Yeah, I think Ben at some point said so. But Devin, I don't want your flowers. I'm second boot, but thanks for casting me. I had a lot of fun. I sent Devin a video as soon as he said that I was casted of, I think Zordali and I were putting up like a pink Christmas tree, and I like sent him right away to him that I was so excited, and I definitely owe you cookies. But yeah, I also paid in terms of Zordali coming and bringing in some fun vibes to the show. So yeah, hopefully I do better next time if there's a next time. Maybe I'm soft retiring. We don't know.
Maybe we can do a captain season where you're the one returnee on one tribe and Jamil's on the other.
Oh my gosh. Yes, hopefully the mic's working, but I think that'd be so fun. Jamil would absolutely love that. I don't know if I could go against him for anything. Kind of indebted to him a little bit.
So okay, we do have a question. Devin asking if we're going to talk about the episode title, which was my dad told me not to trust pretty girls or something like that. Might have butchered it. I instantly knew that was going to be a Corey quote.
Yeah, I had a pretty strong feeling. I was trying to think of like who else it could possibly be, and I just didn't feel like anyone else would. Like the only other person I could maybe think of was like Nolan, but it kind of not fully a square peg in a round hole, but off enough that you're still kind of like forcing it in. So, but yeah, eat. I mean, not Corey's best quote, but it was good.
Yeah, the idiot's quote is still the winner.
Wow, better. I love that.
Jumping ahead to winner picks after this episode. I mean, there's not a lot to go off of, but does anyone have strong feelings?
I gave my FTC. Kira, Jimmy, Corey, and Emily are my final four. Ben can die mad about it. I already saw him in the comments earlier when I said that, so I'm sure he's groveling. I would probably say at this point, as Dan said, there's a lot of game left to play, but I think Emily, she's a hero on the villains tribe. I think she even said it herself from the Meet the Cast. But she's able to play like a villain. Like she's eating this game up. I think she's running that tribe with Corey, not hand in hand, but like in their own ways, in a way that's not like combating against each other. And if she's naturally a hero, she's going to bond with them at Merge. And I think she just has a really way of like captivating people that I could see at an FTC that being very dangerous if she gets there. So at this point, I would say Emily, but that could change next week because there's a lot of game left to play.
Maddie, did you have one that you felt strongly about?
I'm trying to like think through it. I meant to pull a Sam Grove and like make some sort of chart, but I did not do that. But I don't know. At this point, I feel like a lot of the like heroes, like a Ben or a Jimmy, are super insulated, and I actually think their threat level is quite like lower than it has been, just because of the amount of like Whitewater folks that are here. And don't necessarily know their kind of gameplay at this point. And also not being put with people like Nolan and Ben aren't on the same tribe. So I could see them going really far because so far they're playing a pretty low-key game. But I guess I don't really have a winner pick because there's just so much up in the air. But I definitely see those two going pretty far.
Yeah, last week I said, I don't know, I was really just shooting out of nothing. I said Vin, Dakota, and then I threw in Jimmy for final. I don't think Jimmy's going to make it to final tribal. Sorry, Will. I will slot Emily back in there.
Who's got an idol? Does your team have an idol?
My team doesn't need an idol to get to the end.
Interesting.
Dang.
Yeah, so I'll put Emily back up there. I didn't want to have like too much of an Emily bias since she's on my team, but I mean, since everyone agrees that she's so good and I was so smart for picking her, I mean, sure, we can talk about that.
Wow, Dan doesn't support his team. What a great!
I am right now.
What a great captain.
Do we have any other? Well, Jamil asked a question that I think we already kind of answered about if Kayla would play again if given the chance. I think that was a yes, Kayla. Is that correct?
I need a break a little bit, but
well, yeah, you've earned it.
3 seasons in a row, guys. I'll think of some one-liners. If I have some good ones, maybe I'd say yes.
If Sir Dolly were to play with you?
Are you kidding me? I will run an entire game. Like, I will become an LRG master if Zerdali plays a game. I don't know if Paul would play too, but like if Zerdali's on, done. We're making it a money game. Like, she'll win. Anyway, enough said. She's not here right now. She went to bed.
I would personally pay Zerdali's like player fee to get her to play, but she said
you and me both.
You said she won't play. Yeah,
she won't.
And if you do play, this is no shade. Don't y'all come for me. Don't let it be like Amelia and Addie, where like we can see how much Amelia is better without her best friend. I think it's just you just play different when your friends are there. So like, let it be an asset, not a barrier.
I don't know if I could play with her. I'm not gonna lie. I don't
Sure.
know if I could play with her.
That's more the
but
fun
I'd
for
want her
viewers.
to play. It's kind of like what Trinity and Dan kind of thing.
Or me and Julie, where I just didn't include her in an alliance at all.
Sorry, Julie.
Shout out, forward out for Julie.
Okay, we had a question from Richie. It just came in. What future returnee season themes would you love to see in the future? Fans versus favorites, blood versus water, etc.
I've never thought about this. Maybe like again, I grew up on Big Brother, don't know too much about Survivor. Maybe like a couples scene. I've always joked with Devin that we need an all-girls season. I would have no idea how that would work. But I'm loving that there's a lot of multi-day ones. I think that's so fun. But whatever we have, I need a hot tub, especially after being second boot. I'm like, of course, I get out early on a season where there's no hot tub. That was heartbreaking in itself. I don't care if I get weird. Actually, yes, I do. I don't want like weird hot tub rash, but like, let that be my decision. So yeah, hot tub, please.
Yeah.
I have one. I saw this on another Survivor LRG, which I thought was fun. It was Battle of the Generations. So it was like 20s and I don't quote me on it, but I think it was like 20s and 30s, 40s and 50s, and like 60 plus, which was really cool. And like I think someone from the 60 plus won, or maybe it was like Gen Z versus Millennial versus Gen X, which of course was like a regular Survivor season. But yeah, doing a Generations one, shaking it up a little bit, that would be really cool. I mean, similar to like an all femme season, I'm all about like more queer folks. So like having something with like is it Survivor Columbus is doing dragons versus drag queens. So it's like one tribe is all drag queens and one tribe is all LRG vets. So yeah, just like other fun ways to like get more diversity and representation involved, which they've been doing a lot in modern seasons, but having it more part of the like theme without it being like performative could be cool.
Yeah, I think because I know it's hard to get women to apply for LRGs a lot of the time, as like compared to men. But if we did an all-stars, like an all returning women, then that way you're not eating into like a new cast pool, but we could just get like all the women that have played before all on a season together for an all women's season. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Maddie, what do you think?
I'm like dying at all of these comments right now. Yeah, I love a blood versus water. I think like it's kind of basic, but like it's definitely something we haven't really got to see a ton. We see a lot of couples, but not like let's get both the Davis brothers or both the sisters. Like, there's a lot of family that I think that would come and play. I think it'd be really interesting. But I don't know. I love all the themes. I do like the generations. I think it'd be fun too to do a. It's probably like X-Nate at this point, but like what was it? Beauty, brains, and brawn. But if you get like puzzle people versus like challenge people sort of thing, like put a Maris versus like someone who's really good at challenges, like physical ones where Maris is so good at the puzzles, and see how that plays out. But I don't know.
I like that, yeah.
So many variations.
Yeah. Jimmy wants Christian and Corey to be the host for a Blood vs. Water season.
Oh my gosh.
So I watched them play the Whitewater Blood versus Water, and there was a lot of "I can't believe you voted out my brother" that went on. So they definitely play into that again. I think we're kind of dry on questions, and we've been going for a while. So if we want to start going on any kind of closing thoughts we have before we go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think it's a good time to start wrapping up.
Those are your closing thoughts? Okay.
Oh, my closing thoughts are I'm glad to be back so I can provide entertainment since you clearly didn't do a good enough job last week. And that we have even more femme representation, which, no shade to early birds, but shade. Glad we have more of that with this pod. I'm excited to see Team Will kill it next episode. And you can eat your words about Matt going next on villains. So looking forward to that.
We'll see who's right. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Will. I appreciate your support as always. I know you watched the entire episode to give valid feedback to me. You told me you didn't.
Well, you know, my history being an honest player, it's really just poor memory. We've gone over this.
You did, and you forgot. Okay, got it.
I forgot.
Maddie, I think you did a great job on the podcast.
Thank you. I think she did too. Maddie, any final words for us before we go?
I say bring back Trinity's positive comments.
Yeah.
That was hysterical. No, but this is so much fun. Thanks for the invite. It was fun to debrief.
Thanks for coming on. It was much overdue. You're always getting to the final three, so you can never make a guest appearance. Like, dang, I'm too good at this game. And Kayla, thank you so much for joining us, even as you're on your commute. Sorry that you had such a short run. Anything you want to leave us with?
I don't know. The claws got to stay out, Dan. Whether it's from you or from me, somebody's got to have them. Don't be declawed. You know what I mean?
Got to identify those worms.
Mm-hmm. Identify the worms. Keep the claws out. Don't play nice.
All right. Thank you guys all for coming on. Thanks everyone in the chat. And guess we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next
Bye.
week.